Pero sencillamente y lentamente, porque mi español es horrible. Okay, dale.
¿Cómo se sienten que otras personas admiren su trabajo?
Oh, how do you feel that other people admire your work? That was a good one. He could have planned that. This was high five. Come on. Okay.
I think we can all answer that one. I think it's great. I think it's me personally. I think it's really cool, but it's weird. I'll never get used to it. You know, I don't ever feel like. Of course, people know my stuff. My life is so isolated and very contained. It's only when I come to stuff like this, which I don't do that much, that people have a chance to really tell me, and I get to see their crazy eyes. And 99% of the time, it's great. It's really neat to hear that you've been a part of someone's life. And I know what that's like. Like, I know what it's like to love something, but I don't feel it. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't feel like, it's always a weird reminder to think like, oh God, like, I'm part of someone's Christmas celebration. You know, like they watch the Christmas episode. I'll have like families come up, like grandmothers and like their grandchildren come up and they watch the Christmas episode. And I'm just like, that's so weird. It's neat, but it's weird. Like, how about, like you over there?
I get, this has happened to me recently with Sonic stuff. Like, I've been doing like Sonic animations for Sega for a few years now. And I have people all the time, like, they draw Sonic like me now. And like, my feeling is always, I wish they admired someone better. Like, and that's not really me, like, I don't want like compliments or awes or whatever. It's like, I don't really think I'm great enough to be admired in that way, and I don't know if you feel that.
I think you are.
That's legitimate, like, but I think everybody probably feels that way. If you don't feel that way, you're probably an asshole.
Right. I was about to say, like, what if my answer was like, of course. Have you seen my work? You know? Like, that'd be like sociopathic on some whole other level. I think that you should always feel like you could do better, because you can always improve. I think it's cool, but I never think it's justified, you know? I wouldn't even want to copy me. Like, my style, when I draw, my style is the result of all the things I don't know how to do, you know? It's all of my shortcuts. So when I see people like drawing like me, I'm like, no, don't do that. Like, be better. Like, I think that's...
You know, when you draw a picture, you know what you can or can't do, you know? Like, if you're drawing hands a certain way because you can't draw it here, you draw it here instead, right? Like, all those little shortcuts you do to make your pictures work is like, when you see people mimicking you, it's like, no, mimic someone that knows a little bit more. Yeah, but I mean, it's nice, it's flattering, but I think on some level, you'll always not think you're worth it, you know?
I know Jenny's
I was gonna say, I want to hear what Jenny has to
syndrome.
say. Jenny, I admire you. How does it make you feel?
Makes me feel a little sick. No.
Oh, you're welcome.
No, I agree. It's weird. I have horrific imposter syndrome, and I'm like, doesn't anybody know that I don't know how to do anything? Like, all the time. And I'm flattered and touched when people come up and they're like, oh my God, and I'm just like, I'm sorry. But yeah, there are so many people that are vastly more talented than I am, and it's the same thing where it's just like, go look at that person. They know things. I don't know shit. I get by. So yeah, samesies.
What about you, Jake?
I'll answer this in the second question. We were talking today at lunch about how it's sometimes more emotionally comfortable to be a part of something.
Yeah.
So like, for me, everybody loving the Invader Zim movie is very comfortable because I get to be like, yeah, I was a storyboard director. Yeah, Jonen's great.
Yeah,
you get to like bask in it, but it's not you so much, right?
Yeah, when people hate the movie, they hate me.
Yeah, it's your fault.
Like, they think I did everything. So if it's the colors, it's like, oh, Jonen's all happy now. Or everything's all squishy looking, because that's how we draw. I'm like, no, that's how Tyson draws now.
Jonen's been watching anime. Okay, second question.
In Spanish and in English.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, dame.
Fue difícil en crear la canción que canta Girl sobre la humanidad.
¿Cómo? Dije, mi español es horrible, lento y claro. Oh, you got it? You got it?
Was it very difficult to create the girls' song about uniting humanity?
No.
Thank you. I'm sorry for my bad English.
No, you're great. No, you're great.
It was, my part of it was just coming up with the song, the lyrics, which was one of the first, Pieces Nice was one, before there was even a story. It was way back when I was just thinking of what would be in the movie. I had a couple of just images and a vague idea. The movie was kind of, it popped into my head, just the general idea for the story, and the song popped up. I was taking a shower and I was just singing, "Peace is nice, peace is better than chicken and rice," and I was like screaming it too. And I started laughing, and I knew that was going to be, like Gura was going to be, I was like, I don't know why he's singing it, but that's going to be in the movie. So that was easy. And then Kevin had to come up with an entire, he had to, I tell Kevin, here's what I want. He goes off, he comes back with music, and then who boarded that? That was
Samir, Stefan, and me.
Yeah. So it was easy for me to think up, but it was a nightmare to put together for everyone.
It was real bad. And because you mentioned that song, and again, I'm not trying to call, it's going to be in my head for the next 2 days. Like, it's just never going to leave me.
I love hearing Ricky screaming chicken and rice. Yeah. It's just it was the dumbest thing I could think of, and I'm like, that's so dumb, it's got to happen. Yeah. Do we have someone else?
Tenemos tiempo solo para una pregunta más.
You pick. I don't want that pressure. You got to pick. Yeah, one more question.
One question. One last question.
You've got to pick.
I
can't do it.
I'm okay to stay here all night.
Overalls. Okay, you. Other overalls.
We didn't call anyone in the back.
We didn't call anyone in the back. Just give it to her. I'm sorry, people in the back, I can't see you.
You're asking why we made Dib and his dad have more of a human relationship?
Yeah.
Right. It was I knew early on that there had to be something a little different and a little bit more human, slightly more human for the movie. And it was like a delicate, walking a fine line between going too far and making it feel insincere and doing it just enough that people understood what we were going for, and hopefully having it feel authentic enough. I mean, that stuff was uncomfortable to try and figure out because it still had to be Zim. It still had to be mean, and it still had to be just weirdness, but it couldn't be that for, all 70 minutes of the movie. I also really like the idea of sincerely looking like we killed a kid's dad, I mean, he's gonna show up.
Yeah.
Isaac.
Well, I don't know, because it's him, I don't know if people knew. And I was just thinking that Rie did such a good job. So the board artist for the sequence where Zim loses his dad. Oh man, you should have been there for the show. I couldn't say anybody's name. Where Dib loses his dad was boarded by Rie Koga. She's a Japanese board artist that was a fan of the show back when she was working in the industry in Japan and came on and freelance for us. And she handled that so well that it was funny but touching and
Yeah, I like how she drew the characters, and it felt sincere. That's one of those weird things that I wanted to put in the movie, because I didn't really have that in the series. I wanted to do stuff that made me uncomfortable, and having emotions other than anger was different. I think that's where it worked. There were other places where it didn't work as much. I didn't like how they animated and drew Gaz. So when she's doing it, she's making faces that I would never draw, and they softened her up way too much. But with Professor Membrane, he's always covered up and he's just got goggles, and I thought that was a really cool scene. That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. That's why we did it, was just to see if we can do it. Some people hate it, some people love it. I get uncomfortable when people like it too much. Because, the show's not about...
You get uncomfortable when anybody's too happy.
Yeah, it's not like... Nah.
Like an emotional core like that is important to making sure you don't check out halfway through it. Like if the characters don't care about anything, neither will you, and that's something that you can do in 11 minutes, maybe 22, but for a full movie...
Not at that length.
And I feel like you're mean enough to Dib to earn it. Like, wishing isn't very scientific, son. It's so brutal.
And then he forgets, and then his dad goes back to not remembering anything at the end, so we've just robbed him of all that validation. And people hate that. I've seen people get so angry that we just reset it. And I'm like, have you watched the show? Like, characters are dead, and in the next episode, they're back. The tallest are dead.
Way to end on that.
¿Le vas a dar el regalo?
Thanks everybody for being really cool and having good questions and putting up with our nonsense. I'm sorry if I was too mean to any of you.
Ya, bueno, terminamos por hoy.